In this clip we're going to look at tying a Corixa pattern. It's an imitation of a Corixa water beetle, aquatic beetle. And a lot of anglers completely neglect this fly, and I've had more than a few say they never have any success with it. And yet many of the waters I fish they've proven to be extremely successful. One, because the Corixas are there in numbers and they're there all the time. And this pattern has developed over time because we fished so many Corixa patterns. And one of the key elements of the way a Corixa looks is that it's flat. And we found that the best way to get that flat shape, and also to sink the fly at the same time, was to put on some lead wire. Just break it off there. And then flatten it. So then wound on the lead wire, we're just going to give it a bit of support with some thread wraps, and then we're going to squash it flat with some flat nose pliers. You can decide how flat you want to go. If you go too far, obviously it'll all break to pieces. There's our flattened body, and I normally give it a bit more support with the thread and maybe a drop of varnish on there just to support it a bit further before we carry on. With the lead underbody in place, we're going to tie in a bunch of pheasant tail fibres. These are actually dyed olive, but you can use natural brown, whatever you feel really. Tie those fibres in. There we go. They're going to form the shell back, and ultimately they're going to form the legs of this Corixa as well. And then we're going to tie in some silver mylar to imitate the bubble around the Corixa beetle's body. One of the problems with this pattern that we had when we developed it was that trying to step mylar up onto this lead body, it doesn't really want to go, and it becomes problematic, and that you want a nice shiny surface. And eventually we found a way of cheating, which works really rather well. I'm going to do that now with the mylar. So instead of using just flat mylar, we found that using 3 or 4 strands of fine mylar or crystal flash, tie it in, and then add a drop of varnish or super glue just to help it stick as you wind it up. So I need to take the thread forward there. Right. In this way you can get a nice bright shiny body without too much trouble. Now you can say it's cheating, I suppose. I don't like gluing things together on flies particularly. There's one fibre there just spun out the way. But it creates something that we wanted, and it works well, and it makes the fly more durable. And now with that shiny mylar air bubble body in place, just take the bunch of pheasant tail fibres, keep them on top of that body. Whoops, I missed there. And tie down with a couple of strands of thread like that. And then to make the legs, we just separate 2 fibres. That one broke. Separate 2 fibres on the camera side of the hook. Take 2 fibres on my side. That. and trim off the rest. And by using the same material that we used for the body, for the back, to make the legs, it reduced the bulk of the fly tremendously. I just whip finish. And then we're going to stick those legs together. So there's the fly almost done. And there's a final touch. You use some clear nail varnish on the legs just to try to stick those two fibres together. It makes them a bit more visible. One fibre isn't really quite thick enough to do the job, so I found that sticking two together works better. There we go. And then once they're dry, we're just going to trim them to size. And there's our finished Corixa pattern. In water where there are lots of Corixas, particularly weedy back waters, this fly can really produce the goods. And I've fished more than one reservoir or still water where the fish ate virtually nothing else. It's a deadly little fly, very simple, and occasionally you find them in rivers where they might be worth a swim. Quick sink Corixa.